Hello, and welcome to Glory Be, interesting people and how they pray.
Each week, we chat with interesting people about their lives, their work, and how they pray. I'm Sharon Hanish.
And I'm Mike Malcolm. Our guest today is Ray Vandiver, Executive Director at Discovery Lab, Tulsa Children's Museum here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Ray discovered his passion and talent for informal education while earning his Ph.D. in physics from Missouri University of Science and Technology. While a graduate student, he joined a group of hands-on learning enthusiasts and helped create the Meramec Science and Technology Learning Center. He started his career in 1993 as the founding director of the Bootheel Youth Museum. Did I pronounce that right?
Bootheel Youth Museum.
Oh my gosh, okay. In Malden, Missouri. Yes. I got that one right. Yeah. National Medal winner awarded by the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences. Prior to moving to Tulsa, Ray served as a member of the senior leadership team at the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. He's also an artist and a musician. Ray and his wife, Donna, have been married for 33 years and have a son, Aaron, who lives in Michigan. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
I love the fact that you're a physics guy, because that was one of my passions. I went to TU for about 5 minutes, one semester before I started thinking about seminary. But I took a lot of electrical engineering, and physics was my favorite. I love that stuff.
Yep. Clearly my favorite as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, some people claim they can really see God's order for the universe in a magnificent mathematical model. You can see that.
I can relate. Yes.
Yeah. So that is awesome. Well, I love Discovery Lab. That is the coolest place. So, and it's also, it's bringing in a lot of people to Tulsa from outside. Tell me about Discovery Lab. For someone who's never been there, what is it?
So Discovery Lab is Tulsa's hands-on discovery place. Mm-hmm. So come and enjoy exhibits that will bring out the play as you learn about science, technology, engineering, and math. So it's all about doing it yourself, exploring, guided by your own passions and experiences. But it's hands-on, it's minds-on, and it promotes creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and problem solving.
You have little kids who come and just stand in awe at some of it, and then you have older kids too. I mean, high schoolers. And
so Discovery Lab is designed for the kid in all of us. Yeah. So developmentally, we do target ages 2 to 12. So that's sort of our core in terms of our educational mission. But it's designed for a family audience. So people of all ages are going to find something fun, unique, innovative, and playful at Discovery Lab.
So you have this degree in physics, which I don't necessarily associate with, fun. I mean, how did you...
Speak for yourself.
No, right.
It's a different type of fun, right?
Yeah, well, in my mind, I'm not thinking physics, Discovery Lab, fun, kid. I'm thinking physics, engineering. Anyway, so how did you get interested and involved? Like, when you went and got your degree in physics, were you thinking, I want to be the director of a children's museum?
I was not. So that story. So my father was a carpenter, cabinet maker, and I worked with him for many years. So as I was getting my degree in physics, my wife Donna actually got involved in this group, the Meramec Science and Technology Learning Center, and it was a group started by one of the physics professors, and Donna became the director. And I became her exhibit builder. So I sort of approached it from that, and we just both loved it. So it became a little big deal in central Missouri, and it's became how we spent our free time, and we just loved it. So when as I was finishing my Ph.D. and thinking of postdocs, the opportunity presented itself that we could start a children's museum, and it immediately resonated with both of us, and the decision was made in a moment. Yeah. So, and we did it.
So I love, 2.5 decades of experience in exhibit design. And so can you walk us through the process of how it goes from maybe a theoretical concept to a real live display?
And so it starts with a learning objective, and often that's tied to a behavioral objective. So what are they going to learn, and what are they going to do? So and so the ideation, oftentimes it's theme based, and so you just sit around and blue sky brainstorm and come up with ideas. Some are good, some are bad, but the combination of two factors make for a good exhibit. It has to be meaningful, but it also has to be engaging. So if you have this wonderful experience that has lots of depth, but it is just not engaging, not a good exhibit. Yeah. Or if you have something that is just a lot of fluff and fun, but no depth. So finding that mix of both coming together, I think, and I think that describes a Discovery Lab exhibit perfectly as well. So, and add to that playful. So a big part of the Discovery Lab exhibit brand, it is steeped in education in science, technology, engineering, math, but it is designed to be fun and playful. It's in our mission. So our mission is to inspire children, connect families, and build communities through exploration, exhibits, programming, and play. Our mission is punctuated by the word play, and we take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So your wife, Donna, teaches at Undercroft Montessori School. Was she a Montessori teacher when you all started to develop and work at your first museum?
So
I think of Montessori as hands-on learning, which this is.
Yeah, so Donna is a math and science teacher. And so she came to her work in informal science from that perspective. And in terms of her career, so prior to starting the Bootheel Youth Museum, and then after, Donna has been in more traditional science and math classrooms, and has taught within Catholic schools her entire career. And then when we got the opportunity to come to Tulsa to start Discovery Lab, Donna was connected by one of our founders at the museum to Undercroft, and so it's been a wonderful experience for her to really engage with the community and continue her passion for science and math education.
Okay, so you all were married when you were involved. How long ago? Where did you grow up?
So Donna and I grew up in St. Louis, just outside St. Louis. We actually went to grade school together, so we're high school sweethearts.
Yeah. Okay, that is a lot.
And St. Louis has a nice children's museum too for science.
So and they have just beautiful museums. The Magic House is, I would say, the traditional children's museum. Mm-hmm. The St. Louis Science Center is just extraordinary. And then, of course, the City Museum, if you've heard of that, is what I believe to be the most influential museum in the country today. But they break the rules and get away with it. You know, the Discovery Lab is influenced in part by the City Museum. And we have strong relationships with the museum community across the country. And it's just such a wonderful, welcoming community, just so willing to share best practices and best ideas, and because we have a shared mission. So we have those connections across the country.
Are there conventions, national seminars and conventions?
Yes, and so as an example, Discovery Lab is affiliated with the Association of Science and Technology Centers, known as ASTEC, but we're also associated with the Association of Children's Museums, along with the American Alliance of Museum and the Oklahoma Museums Association. Okay. So, and all of these organizations have their conferences, and we've participated by attending, but also by presenting as well. A lot of what Discovery Lab is doing is innovative in the field. One thing that is just so exciting is our relationship with Tulsa Public Schools. So we are the Tulsa Public School STEAM Center, and this relationship was afforded by just a wonderful partnership with Tulsa Public Schools, but it allows every child in the Tulsa Public School system, pre-K through fifth grade, to have a Discovery Lab experience every year, and it's paid for the next 20 years. So that's awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that is great.
And it's like no other relationship between a science museum and a school district throughout the country. So there's a lot of interest in this model that we've started with our partners at Tulsa Public Schools, and it's just been just really cool.
That's
You're
amazing.
the pioneers.
So when did you open? Because of COVID, did that impact your opening?
The COVID only towards the end because of supply chain issues. But I only, not to the extent that you might expect. So, but we opened formally January 24th of this year.
So have the Tulsa Public Schools been in? Like they've started their...
Yeah, so we had we started that program looking at all the third and second graders through that system, and becoming this next school year, we'll have a full year. So, as I say, it'll be pre-K through fifth grade, every student coming and having the Discovery Lab experience, but also going into our education center and experiencing a focused science, technology, engineering, math-based 45-minute intensive that is, by the way, playful, but very educational.
Well, we will link to Discovery Lab in the show notes, so
great.
that people can find it. And what are the hours, basically, for a non-school person who just wants to visit?
So the museum's open every day to everybody. So we are open Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 5.
Gotcha.
Sundays, 11:30 to 5.
Okay.
And it's right by the gathering place, so it's just super well located.
And technically, we are in Gathering Place.
Okay.
So that's another partnership that is just mind-blowing, and our partners at Gathering Place are just amazing, and what a world-class, amazing park, and just how gratifying to be located inside the park. But we are at the corner of 31st and Riverside. Discovery Lab, you can't miss us, but we're in Gathering Place.
Well, it's a great gift to the community, as are you, Ray. You've brought something just outstanding to the community. Now, another thing, before we moved on to how you pray, because it's Glory Be, interesting people and how you pray, something very interesting about you is your side gig of music. You are a musician and an artist, and it's been something very important to you. You do play around town, and you also play here at St. Mary's. You lead our Taizé prayer. Talk to us about that. Like, have you always been a musician? Has that your physics and music? That's a great combination.
So my father played guitar and sang, and my mother sang, and so music was always a part of my home life. And one thing that I found important is that my father had his musical instruments accessible, and this is what I tell people, and this is how I've inherited this notion is don't put the instruments in a case in a closet. My dad would hang them on the walls. So they were right there to grab and play. So and we often did. So you'll find my guitar hanging on the wall in my living room, and but it's easy access. So I think that's important. But one thing that's interesting is I've been playing guitar for most of my life. I can tell you I can't remember when I didn't play guitar. And again, the other thing is my dad had some really nice instruments, but I could always play them. It wasn't like it was, and that kind of goes into the philosophy of, hands-on learning. So providing access. So it was a big part of it. But I can tell you that in my musical identity, I started as a drummer. So, so I had my first real drum set when I was 6, and I still have the drum set that I bought with my own money in 1976. It's in my basement still. But for the first part of my musical identity, I was a drummer, and but I also played guitar. So, but as opportunities for me to play music would come up, it was more conducive to the guitar than the drums. So at some point, not long after the birth of our son Aaron, did I find that my musical identity shifted from a drummer to a guitar player. So that was in my late 20s, early 30s. But up until then, I would have said I'm a drummer.
Right.
But and I think it has influenced my style of play as well. But
what is your style of play? So if somebody were to come watch you play here in Tulsa, what kind of music would they hear?
Singer-songwriter style, folk. I guess Americana is the genre that's been applied to the songs, the type of songs that we sing. So, but I've had my phases of electric guitars and wah-wah pedals and the like.
Yeah.
Like Mike.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm still in the noisy phase.
Well, that's a good transition then because I know we were talking before and mentioned in the bio that I don't know if did we mention that in the bio, but I had mentioned that you do lead the Taizé prayer here. Talk about, this combination of music and prayer drawing us closer to God. So you pray in that way. I'm sure you pray in a lot of ways. How has prayer changed over the years? How does music impact your prayer? So
in terms of my music and my connection to the church, so my first experience playing for the Mass occurred when I was 12. So I was 7th grade. So and Sister Anna Marie at St. Michael's School in Shrewsbury, Missouri, invited me to play at Mass. So and that's just started a lifelong relationship with the church, and so my connection has been through music and music ministry. So I've been continuously playing at Mass and in the church since I was 12, and all of the adventures that that Donna and I have been on, and so when we moved to Malden, I found myself playing at St. Anne's. When we moved to Portland, I found myself playing at St. Rose, and now we're in Tulsa, and I find myself playing at St. Mary's, and it has been interesting to me because it seems to find me as much as I'm looking for it. So there's, but also it gives me comfort and connection immediately. And I just love the music. The people I've met along the way, the musicians and the music ministers and all of these areas have just been so generous and talented, and I've just had great opportunities to meet and play with some wonderful people.
Well, isn't there some saint, can't remember which saint said that singing is praying twice?
I think that was Augustine.
I think it was too.
Right.
I almost said
that.
Augustine.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So I know music is a big part of, even though I'm not a musician, it draws my heart, when I hear music in Mass that speaks to me, so it is important, even for those of us who aren't musically talented.
And of course art does that. It has the ability to pull at our emotions and to evoke connections, memories. The songs, from our youth. I still know those songs that I played at St. Michael's in Shrewsbury, and in fact, as Donna and I went to grade school together, and when our friends get together, we find ourselves singing those songs.
Yeah. Well, it's just a common shared experience, and it can take you back to a really great place. We associate those great songs with great memories, great people.
And is there any other kind of prayer that you do, like on a daily basis, or that a favorite saint, or what else? What other ways have been valuable to you in terms of?
Well, in terms of other style of prayer, with music and the connection through music being a primary source, but I would say that I prescribe to meditative prayer, and just trying to be thoughtful and open, in moments where I'm connecting with God, and just letting my thoughts, trying to keep my thoughts open, and trying to be quiet, if that makes sense.
It does.
And then I can tell you that my experience in Mass, and one of the things that has been very influential in my life's trajectory is the fact that my mother died when I was young, and she was our family's sort of spiritual connector. So, so her faith was very important. Her identity was closely linked to her faith, and she was just a beautiful person. And so I can tell you that my connection to prayer is also a connection to my mother, if that makes sense. So,
for sure.
So it's so it is where I so she's in my thoughts as well. So during these prayerful moments, and then in the Mass. So it's just I maintain a connection from those long ago memories, but it's comforting and it's connecting, and
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Some people think about the division between the living and the dead as a huge high stone wall, and kind of the Catholic view is okay. It can be, maybe it's a tall fence, but it's a chain link fence. We can pass notes and talk and on all that.
And I definitely feel that connection.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Well, tell me, I've gone to a few Taizé prayer services, but not any here. I've walked by in the hallway. For someone like me, who probably needs to come, what could I expect when I get to a Taizé prayer service? So Deacon Rich Bender is the primary catalyst for this type of prayer service here at St. Mary's, and it's very meditative, reflective. There are periods of sacred silence, so this finding the quiet is a big part of it. Music is also a big part of it, and the songs chosen are sort of repetitive, and you come back around, and the participants are strongly encouraged to sing along and feel the emotion, feel the connection through the music as it comes back around, and there's scripture readings, there's intentions, but it is I would describe it as meditative prayer style, and it's as one of the as providing the music, I'm still connecting to the prayer environment as well. So it's so in the way that we're talking, it's still I'm very gratified to have been invited to participate, and I also get a lot out of the moment in terms of the prayerfulness of the experience. So I'm right there with everybody. Well, it sounds like your gifts and that sort of format really gel.
Yes. It's been very rewarding, and I'm very fortunate to have had that exposure at a young age, so that I can participate in this way,
right?
Through music and the church.
Yep. Well, it seems like Taizé is a very easy time to come and pray and to kind of get into that mode. Has there ever been a time in your life when it's been difficult to pray?
Well, so I can tell you that. So I've benefited from Catholic education my entire life. So went to St. Michael's in Shrewsbury, went to St. John Vianney in Kirkwood, Missouri. I went to St. Louis University to get my undergraduate degree. And coming out of that, I had to find it on my own.
Right.
And prayer actually brought it back. And so there was a period where I was feeling disconnected. Yeah. And as I became prayerful about it, it was music that brought me back. It was actually one of my lab partners was involved with the Newman Center at what was then the University of Missouri at Rolla, now the Missouri Science and Technology, and just basically asked me if I was Catholic and if I played guitar. Honestly, we talk about it. It's like, why did you ask me those things? But the answer was yes to both. And Wednesday, that week, I was playing
Wow.
the Mass at the Newman Center, and that was a reconnector, and I've been connected ever since.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
Well, this has just been great. We so appreciate you joining us. We
Absolutely.
always ask.
Thank you.
This is I've been looking forward to this interview. We always ask our guests one question, which is, if you could ask the entire world to join you in a prayer intention, what would you want everybody to be praying with you?
I think what I'll answer is patience and respect for each other. In recognition, we're all going through a lot. We've all been through a lot these past couple of years, and just having some patience with each other and openness for each other, and just recognize we're kind of all in this together.
Yeah.
And just it's been a lot.
Yeah.
So just to have some grace.
Excellent. Well, usually we conclude with the Glory Be, but let's conclude your way today. What do you say? Do you want to play a song?
I would love to play a song.
Okay, well, let's do it. So.
This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me. This is my daily bread. This is my daily bread. Your very word spoken to me, and I'm desperate for you, and I'm lost without you.
Amen. Glory Be is a production of the Office of Communications at the Church of St. Mary in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm your producer, Mike Malcolm. See you next time.